Six blind men who had never seen an elephant or been around an elephant were arguing over what the animal must be like. A zookeeper decided to allow them to enter an elephant's cage and find out for themselves. So the first blind man stumbled into the broad side of the elephant, and he declared, "Why, an elephant is like a wall, solid and wide." The second man happened to grab one of the sharp tusks, and he said, "No, it isn't. An elephant is like a spear." The third took hold of the trunk as it swayed back and forth and said, "You're both nuts. An elephant is like a big snake." The fifth blind man, who had run his hands up and down the elephant's ear, laughed and said, "No, no, no. An elephant is like a giant fan." And finally, the sixth man, who had grabbed the elephant's tail, declared, "No, the elephant is like a rope." Each of the blind men were right in their individual perspective, but all of them were wrong in describing an elephant. Politicians, religious leaders, sports analysts, musicians, artists, and professionals in every field have sharp disagreements about what they consider to be true. The reason for that is simple. They each are viewing things from their own perspective. Put two people in exactly the same place with the same surroundings, and one will be miserable and one will be content. Again, it boils down to different perspectives. Prisoners sitting in a cell, one in heaven, one in hell. One is looking at the bars, while one is gazing at the stars. In a hospice, two are dying. One is smiling, one is crying. One at peace, her conscience clear. One in turmoil, dread, and fear. Some feel hope and some despair. Some will bless and some will swear. Some feel whole and some defective, each expressing their perspective. The beginning of wisdom is when we recognize that our perspective is not the only valid one. In fact, our perspective might be wrong. Humility is one of the foundations for wisdom. You can learn to be content in any situation if you just choose to adjust your perspective. The next time you get into an argument with someone about politics, religion, sports, or any other subject, just practice quieting your own mind and listening to the other person's perspective. You don't have to agree with it, but you just might discover something you didn't know. If you can learn to respect different viewpoints, you don't have to agree with someone in order to accept them as a friend.